Hello, you fucking weirdos. Good to see you. I've been wanting to make a video and wasn't sure where to start. And then I was reading this book today by George Saunders, where he is analyzing these Russian short stories and kind of teaching us about storytelling through them. And the very first chapter just kind of nailed a lot of what I've been thinking about lately. For context, he's a college professor and he's talking about his new students. They're already tremendously gifted when they get to him. I think they pick was it? They pick six new students a year out of six and 700 applications. So these are pretty strong writers. So he says, they arrive already wonderful. What we try to do over the next 3 years is help them achieve what I call their quote, iconic space, the place from which they will write the stories only they could write, using what makes them uniquely themselves, their strengths, weaknesses, obsessions, peculiarities, the whole deal. At this level, good writing is assumed. The goal is to help them acquire the technical means to become defiantly and joyfully themselves. So I kind of crashed out in my writing, to use a term that elder people like to say these days. I kind of hit a wall between ADHD and perfectionism. I just was generating so many treatments and outlines and not actually kind of finishing anything. So one of the things that kind of got me back to writing and enjoying it was figuring out how to make stories more meaningful to me personally. It's that whole thing of making stories more specific and then they become more universal, paradoxically. So I've been kind of obsessed with how to add meaning to my own stories, and there's a lot of different pieces to that. And so I think that's what kind of really struck me with the Saunders quote and why I called this group Write Your Weird. It's not really about writing weird stories as much as like writing your weird, like what's your unique gift or just way of seeing the world, your perspective or your tone or just, what's happened to you in your life or just what you kind of can emotionally understand or bring to the table. Quentin Tarantino said that when you hand your screenplay to somebody, you should feel a little embarrassed, which I think is great because hopefully you've kind of been vulnerable in some way. I mean, I guess that doesn't apply to every story, but I just kind of feel like it's applied to me in a couple ways. Like I'm writing a novella now, which I think I definitely feel that way. And I don't want to say too much about the story, but once you read it, you'll see why. And then the other is like my wannabe cult script from several years ago, which I'm calling Face Sitters now. Yeah, it was super embarrassing. It was a bunch of fetishy stuff, and some fetishes I have, some fetishes I don't. And I think people just assume these are all fetishes I have when they read the script, and that's fine. But another way that Tarantino put this was that to write the script that wouldn't exist if your parents hadn't gotten together and made you. And I just think that's so important. Agents and managers, if that's the route you're trying to go, like they have so many good writers already. And like, let's say you write horror, they've probably got a roster of really great horror people. So they don't need some solid or even amazingly solid script necessarily. Like they want to see something that is really authentic and original and has some kind of perspective or some kind of magic to it, which I think although it can come from just being some kind of master storyteller. I think for the majority of us, we really have to bring something uniquely us into the work for it to feel alive and vibrant and not just like solid. I mean, that's really the kiss of death with a script is like a solid, good script. They don't inspire people to make them. And it's not even about like gatekeeping or, getting a studio. I mean, on an independent level, like just getting people in your neck of the woods to kind of come together and make something, you've got to excite them with your script. That's really the currency that you have at a low budget usually. You just really have to go deep. I mean, you have to take stock of who you are. And of course that changes all the time, but take stock of who you are when you're starting to write a project. Make sure that there's enough you in that story and that you're not just writing it because you think like some other entity is going to like it, but that you're going to love it and that you're going to love what it means. And I do think even very silly movies are usually about something meaningful and maybe Weapons being an exception. I saw it recently and I was like, I don't really think that's about a whole lot, but I really liked it. So I think in this group and in my consulting as well, this is kind of an area that I'm excited to talk more about and continue learning more about the many ways that we can do this. I want to kind of do some Zooms and workshops and stuff and do more listening than talking. Not always my strong point. You can ask my partner, Diana. Never get in a car with me. Just don't do it. Yeah. All right. Bye.